I'm Tim Constantine from the Washington Times. I'm joined by David Bozell for America. David, how are you?
Good, Tim. How are you?
I'm doing very well. The world has gathered to save the world. How do you like that? In UAE,
I'm
they
waiting
have
with
gathered
bated
for
breath.
COP28, the climate conference that they've apparently had 28 times now. This one is going to go for 2 weeks. Going to go for 14 days. They're going to talk about how to restrict us so that we can save the world. Why?
I'm waiting with bated breath to see what our elite leaders internationally can come up with in 14 days in Dubai. Because everybody is, right? They're not Christmas shopping. We want to know the latest and greatest coming out of the COP 24 conference.
There is one report coming out of the United Nations that they're presenting during this conference that is strongly encouraging the West, particularly the United States, to cut back its consumption of meat.
Okay.
Because meat, they say, contributes 40% of the methane gas to the world. So really, we need to get rid of cows and chickens and hogs. And apparently eat a lot of salad, which may be better for me, I don't know, but I really like a good steak.
I seem to remember getting fact-checked to death at the mere suggestion that AOC was saying that we need to stop cows from farting on farms. Turns out that was true. That it's so true that the climate brigade is trying to eliminate the United States participation in cow farting. So, look, this is just what an elitist type of show that these guys are putting on. The UK Prime Minister spent more time flying to the event than actually staying at the event. There was a litany of planes in Munich that were grounded by ice trying to get to 100-degree Dubai to talk about the climate. Great humor and great irony. But I have no use for anyone suggesting that the United States hasn't been a leader in environmental conservation, because of course we have been. And, I mean, just look at some of the other countries that have been scientifically and verified to be the world's biggest polluters. China, to name at the top of the list. Is anybody demanding China not consume as much meat? No, they're trying to blame the United States.
Well, they sign off on this. China has signed off, of course, on some of these, but they don't engage for years yet. They've got like another decade before they're going to implement it.
Right.
And I'm thinking, wait, why? If it doesn't make any sense to me. I understand there are people that feel passionately about this, that believe it with their heart and soul.
Yeah.
And I hate to burst their bubble, but I do believe there are people out there who are pushing this agenda that stand to make a great deal of money. I know that's shocking. I know that's shocking. But I'm wondering, how does this get pushed forward? You and I talked a couple of weeks ago about EVs and cars, but they're trying to take gas stoves out of homes. They're trying to stop all kinds of uses that, 40% of America, 41% of American homes have gas stoves. And so the idea that suddenly now you're going to take what most chefs would tell you, and I mean that literally, most chefs would tell you is the best way to prepare food, and say, no, I'm sorry, you can no longer do that.
Right.
The idea that I'm not going to be able to eat a steak a couple nights a week because that's what I enjoy. At what point did this climate agenda become more important than the freedoms we have so long cherished in the United States?
Well, when the money became so astronomical, the philanthropy from some liberal, environmental, religious, this is a religion for them, when there was money to be made pushing these types of policies, I think that's gone. It's gone from environmental conservation to climate change being a religion. The idea that you were going to disband pizza ovens in New York City. These types of conferences, that's where these harebrained ideas come from. They go to a conference like Dubai and say, well, where there's a lot of gas stoves and coal stoves? New York City. Why? Pizza ovens. We got to get rid of them. We got to go petition the mayor. We got to go petition the New York State legislature. And these guys are all as liberal as they come. They don't know. They're not even thinking, wait a minute, what about the pizza maker? right? Okay, I guess I got to do that because my big donor who's been sitting in Dubai for 2 weeks, this is where this harebrained idea came from, and I've got to push that piece of legislation. This is where these crazy ideas come from, is from these guys getting together. And it's not going to work, and it's going to destroy the West economically.
Politically, let's talk about it, because this week I was with Vivek Ramaswamy out in Iowa, and he makes no bones about it. He says, yes, the climate is changing. It always has.
Right.
Man may even contribute to it, but it's not something new. It has always changed, and it is most certainly not an existential threat that is going to wipe out mankind. It's nowhere near our top priority. Right. We need to drill. He goes down the list. And I think it's so refreshing to hear anyone say that publicly. Why do Republicans fear? Why do so many Republicans fear saying that?
Well, I think they fear New York media elite. There's still this, the muscle memory within the Republican Party is, I've got to be liked by the press. If I'm not liked by the press, then I'll never win. And tell that to John McCain, who thought the same thing, and then as soon as he became the nominee, they threw him out with the bathwater. Right. But there's just this muscle memory within the upper echelons of the Republican Party that they think they've got to be liked. Well, if the press likes environmental, these type of environmental policies, well, then I've got to just sort of nod my head and say, yes, we're going to do our bit and try our best. The beauty of Donald Trump is that he goes the total opposite. Right? You heard him on the other day on Fox. Day one, I'm going to drill until I can't find any other places to drill. That's exactly the type of response that a Republican politician needs to have. And they also need to understand, I think climate change, in 2020, climate change had an issue registration of 1%. Right. That's how important it was to the body politic. The base, but much larger than the base, simply are not going to be receptive to that type of policy prescription that says they can't eat steak a couple times a week, they can't make their own pizza, they can't drive the car that they want to drive. The country has not been receptive to that, and they're not going to respond well to that in 2024. I'm
not a huge believer that man is causing this and that we're going to magically fix it in the United States all by ourselves, right, even if we did cause it. But I look at the 1.5 degrees that they say is going to tip the earth into unsafety, and what I'm flummoxed by is, are the temperatures going to go down in the next 30 years if America does all these things? Right. Because I have yet to find any scientific study that says, yes, this will definitely. It's all well-intended, right, I'm sure, right, but the road to hell is on good intentions.
We're old enough to remember the Ice Age predictions in the 70s.
Absolutely.
This is where, to answer the previous questions, like when did this become a religion for the left? When they were wrong about the coming Ice Age in the 1970s, they couldn't admit that they were wrong. So global warming, global cooling just became climate change.
As you know, I have a home in Florida. It's about 8 miles inland. So I'm actually rooting in favor of climate change because I figure by the time I retire, it may be beachfront property.
There you go.
So we'll see how it goes. For the Washington Times, my name is Tim Constantine, and for America, he is David Bozell. Thank you for joining us.